What is up, guys? Today, I'm so excited for another episode of the Wolfpack Way. Today, we have Maddison Berrios from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Maddison has absolutely crushed her real estate business, but the true elevation of her real estate game happened after she had her daughter, who's now almost 2 years old, and went through some, trying times, but she has continued to compound pound, as Ed Milet says, on her business and building it organically through social media, one step at a time, unapologetic to her family and her commitments to that side. So I'm super excited to bring Maddison on. So if you're here, we have an entire playlist over on YouTube of the Wolfpack Way where I'm featuring my partners. If you are interested in chatting with any of them, I super highly recommend you reaching out to connect, because the culture that we have built is, leaders lead, givers give kind of situation. And so if you ever want to check that out or connect with Maddie, there will definitely be tons of information in the show notes or the comments below for you to connect with her. But without further ado, let's bring on Maddie.
Hello.
Maddison Berrios, how are we doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am so good. Thank you so much for coming on. We won't tell them that this is the second episode that we've recorded, but we're going to get rolling. I got the record. I see it in the corner.
It's there. Yeah.
There we go. So let's kind of dive right in and take you back to kind of when you first came to EXP and everything that was going on, right? We had a brokerage change. We had a baby. We had, husband's job change, as I recall.
Yeah.
And I just remember so many conversations in those days, right? And it's like, what am I doing? How am I doing it? Jeremy, I have to sleep. When can I do this? And so tell us a little bit about your mindset around becoming a parent for the first time, right? And how you've grown your business to where it is today, where it's absolutely crushing, but it wasn't always like that, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. The journey of doing all of this at the same time has been absolutely insane. I fully recommend doing it, just maybe a little bit differently than how I did it in the beginning. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I was at another brokerage, and the opportunity was presented to me that we would possibly be switching over here to EXP. And at first I was like, this is insane. I just, I had my daughter, and then not even a few weeks later, we were having the discussion of making a brokerage change. And for me, it was kind of one of those, this is all or nothing mentality. I'm here, it's hard, but if this is meant to be for me, it's going to be meant to be, and we're going to do it. So yeah, I had my daughter and then switched to EXP and tried to learn an entire new brokerage, a new way of doing business. Because EXP is obviously very different than just a typical brick and mortar. And I was on a team. So the switch was very dramatic. I'll call it dramatic. And so that was a wild year for me. I experienced postpartum depression during that switch. And so it was trying to navigate my own personal issues with navigating a newborn for the first time in my life, to navigating a business that was booming for me at the time that she was born. And then, a couple months later, my husband made a massive switch in his business, which took a pay cut instead of a pay raise, to leave an industry that treated him horribly to be in a business that he was happy in, so he could support our family in a happier way. It was all crazy. That was a year that I look back on it. It's like, oh my God, I could never do that again, but it's brought me here. So I'm very happy with where I'm at so far because of that. But if I didn't trust myself to make that switch, I would certainly not be here in my business. I know that for a fact.
So tell us a little bit about how the business kind of, stacked upon stacked upon stacked, because it was a time thing, right? You have your daughter, she's not in preschool. Your husband was making a change from a business. I believe he worked, odd hours, things like that.
Yeah.
And so how did you take that, keep the daughter number one, first and foremost, and the family, right? Let's not discount the husband, the family first and foremost, and and slowly get that production and find that time, because the time management thing was massive. And I admire your success in doing so, because I remember the days when it was really hard and we were on the phone talking about, the helpless feeling and that kind of stuff. So tell us a little bit about how you kind of put all that together and didn't necessarily put your business on the back burner, but did not discount 1 second of time with your family.
Yeah, no, you were definitely a big support in that, because when I made the switch over here, and you being the reason why I'm here, I needed that. I needed some motivation during the times that it got really hard to not know what I was supposed to be doing and juggling it all. And I will not say that I'm perfect at it now. I think it's been different shifts in the age of my daughter and changing and, making new schedule routines throughout her time. So it hasn't been easy, but I have found ways to navigate it and understanding in my life that my kid will always come first. And then my career, no, I've never put it on the back burner, I'd say, but there's definitely been times where I've had to pick and choose what was most important to me and what was needed. And sometimes it was just my daughter needed me and I couldn't be somewhere else. So I think it's really hard for people to disconnect that when you're so heavy in your business. And I know this is something that people struggle a lot with is, well, but my business needs me. And in order for me to make income, I have to keep the grind, the hustle culture. And for me, that's not how I operate. I don't operate on hustle. I operate on what is so important to me that feeds my cup every single day that I can pour into. And it was always my kid. I love being home with her. I love being her mom. I love that I get to teach her and not some random strangers teaching her to preschool, which is never a bad thing. I don't want to knock daycare, but for me, that was a huge goal. Was I want my kid to learn from me and watch me and be here with me. And so it has not been easy. That journey of trying to figure out the balance has been really hard. But yeah, we're here. So it has to be working.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question. How are you building your business? A lot of Zillow leads, a lot of Realtor.com leads, a lot of that kind of stuff. The answer is no. I'll answer it for you. So tell us a little bit about how organically you've grown that, being parent 1A 24/7 for your daughter. And kind of the strategy behind it, the highs, the lows, and kind of your strategy behind your social media stuff.
So social media has been a life-changing thing for me. And I'll backtrack to when I first got in the industry. My first broker told me that social media didn't matter in our business. And me growing that wasn't going to make a difference. And he was wrong. It has absolutely changed my life. It's given me the opportunity to connect with people when, I can't go sit at a coffee shop every day with my kid, right? I can't just leave the house sometimes. So I have to find ways to connect with people that I can relate to them and be beneficial to them. And social media is the platform to do that. Obviously, I'm on Facebook a lot, and that's where I get a lot of my clients from, is past relationships with friends, with, old colleagues from other businesses, and then friends of friends who just refer me because they know, like, and trust me as a person because I've built that relationship online, right? So I'm super vulnerable online. I'm very open. You get real raw me all the time. So who I am on here is the same person I am in my family and same person with my friends. So I'm very open, and that's what I love about my business is it's very raw. And so I get to connect and build relationships with clients that are very similar to me or can relate to me. And so we have a good experience. But yeah, this is my first real year that I'm actually starting to connect with a lot of people that I've never met in my life. So the referral to referrals, starting to get those random people that are being sent to me is really kind of crazy because it's definitely been a massive switch since I got into the industry.
Right. And so that's another thing. Like you say, connecting on social media. What's that mean? What are you doing? What's connecting on social media mean?
So I'm very big on, if I have a thought, I'll put it in a Facebook status and just say hey, I just had a recent one where it was what kind of sneakers does everybody like for, I need a pair of sneakers for my trip. And I got so many replies to that. And then there was people messaging me and they're I haven't talked to you forever. Where are you going for your trip? And so it's just a matter of relating to people and being just there. But I'm also very more so open about my life and honest. And so I'll do like Instagram stories talking about my day, talking about my frustrations, talking about, literally anything, client wins. So I'm very emotional and real in what I talk about with clients. And I've had so many people just DM me and say like, oh my God, me too. Like my kid's so frustrating today. And like, this is so hard. Or, oh, it's so nice to relate to somebody who's similar to me. Like the whole Instagram, Facebook era is all about just staying connected to people and then meeting people you've never met before through online. And I think I'm up to like 6,000 some odd followers on Facebook. And like, I don't know all of these people. I can tell you that right now, but am I building connections with them every single day? Absolutely. They get to know me more and it makes them trust me.
Right. And so it's the video stuff. It's the emotional stuff. And I will tell you right now, Madison's one of the most emotional people on Facebook, not always in a bad way. Right. She tells stories. She tells real stuff, what's going on. Sometimes she is sad. Sometimes she's like, my daughter didn't sleep all night and now I have a settlement and, whatever. Right. And so those are all things that come out. But it gives people a connection point. And I think that's important. So let's talk a little bit about how you utilize emotion in the terms of your client wins, in that to kind of really, really lay the groundwork for people to, connect with your content.
So a big thing that I teach about social media is that it's not about me, and that conversation when sharing wins should not talk about myself ever. I'm along for the journey. That's kind of how I've always looked at it. And an analogy is like, my client is the driver and I'm the passenger of that whole experience. So I'm here to support you. I'm here to help you navigate it. But at the end of the day, like you are the person that has to make it happen. So I could do whatever I can, but not always can a client make it to the table. And so I get really invested in these clients because we spend a lot of time together for the most part. And so to build those relationships for me is very meaningful. I don't take any client for granted because the fact that they want to work with me is a big deal. They trust me enough. They think I'm expertise enough to know what I'm talking about. So for me, it's like, okay, I've got them because I know what I'm doing, but it's a real honor to have clients actually want to work with you because there's how many other agents, right? So I take their experience to heart and I am the first person that wants to celebrate that win. And for the most part, people want to be on social media. Some don't. I've had a couple clients that are not big on that, and that's okay. I fully understand people don't want their lives online. But the ones that do, I'm all about sharing it because you never know if you tag your client in something, who is going to see it. And I've had that happen to me before where I had a client who settled and, we posted all about them like, yay, you won your house, blah, blah, blah. And then literally I had someone reach out to me that was a family member of that client who said, hey, I talked to your client and they said that you did a phenomenal job. And now we really want to work with you. So if it wasn't for me sharing that, I don't know if my client ever posted about that house that they won. So nobody would have ever even known they bought a house. So it's just about talking and building that story, like you said, having that communication online and talking about how proud you are of the person that actually did all the work to get there. And that's a huge win for me to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really cool kind of segue here as far as, testimonials and things like that. Obviously, the client testimonials are huge. People have found you through Google and found you through all these areas. But every transaction is an opportunity, right? You can tell the story without giving names, addresses, information, personal stuff. You can, get as general as you want or need to do that. But I think that's a huge missed opportunity for agents. And I think a lot of it comes from kind of what you alluded to as celebrating your wins, right? A lot of people, say, I don't want to just see all the sold houses on your, on your Instagram, like that's braggadocious or whatever it is. And with that said, certainly, like I've seen a lot of sold posts on your Instagram, your Facebook, whatever it is, but every single one has a story and you're telling that story. And the truth is, it's almost like a third-party testimonial that you're giving yourself.
Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about kind of your strategy there, maybe an example of one that that really resonated with your audience?
So a client of mine, when I first got into the industry, which feels like it's forever ago at this point, it really wasn't too long ago. He was one of my very first clients, and he had reached out to me and said, hey, I'm a first generation home buyer, and I saw that you're a realtor now, and, I trust you because we've been friends our whole life. And, I'm a first generation home buyer. Like, nobody in my family has ever bought a house, and I don't think that it's going to be possible for me. So can you help me kind of figure out what that would look like if it's possible? And so we got him a pre-approval. I told him, if we can just save up just a little bit more money, we can try to get some seller assistance. And, if we just find the right house in the right area for that budget, because it was a very minimal budget. I mean, I was working with hardly anything. And so we found him a house, and he was under contract and sold within 2 months of that. And that was such a win for me, because that was my third deal ever. And I felt like I was on cloud nine. I'm like, yeah. I cannot believe that we were able to do this. And he pulled through, and he hustled to make this happen. And so I got to be a very minuscule part of that, which was just giving him the motivation to do it. And so you talk about testimonials. He's actually one of 2 clients who's ever left me 2 testimonials. It was one when we went under, or we sold at settlement, and then he put a testimonial on my page a year later. And he was just like, I can't believe it's been a year that I've been a homeowner. Like, without you, I wouldn't have this. And which is not true. I mean, clearly he did it. He did all the work himself, but I was just there to be support system for him that he never had. So that testimonial for me, sharing that story of helping first generation homebuyers, is a huge thing. Like, there's some people that feel like it's just never going to be possible, but if you sit down and have the conversation, it might be possible, just like that. And so I just get to be a small part of that journey, and sharing his story obviously really helped me. And I still get leads from him from that story. Like 3 years later, he still shares my name. It's still being passed around to friends of ours that are also in the same boat of first generation home buyers and not knowing if they can do that. So it's been very eye-opening for me. I love being a part of that. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, so it's a very similar situation. But yeah, it's just building that relationship, or keeping the relationships that you've made in your life, or going back to them, is just so important.
It's huge. And then, obviously the 2 testimonials probably covered a decent amount.
Yeah.
But sounds like they were more on the emotional side, where when you're sharing the story, it's analytical. First generation home buyer, didn't think he could do it, had to save money, had to do this. So you're going through those steps. And while some might appeal to the emotion, that's how we're going to get the Maddie as a client, right? And some might appeal to the analytical piece of it. These are the steps. This is the order. This is what's going on. So you're going to get Jeremy, the client. And I think that that's important, an opportunity that is missed, because it doesn't look like it's the same story, right? It's testimonial 1, testimonial 2, which is cool. And then your side of it, probably posting at very different times. Maybe you're on the way to settlement here, and he did it when they were under contract or at closing or whenever it is. And so it's just telling a story again, right? And reaching out and seeing, okay, that one story could connect with someone, they can raise their hand, right?
Yeah.
Me too.
No, I think it's been very, very beneficial for me to be able to share those stories. And again, it's not about me. The process is not about me. So I reiterate that. I'm very thankful to my clients when they're willing to share a testimonial or allow me to share their story, because it does help me grow my business. And I tell them that, in my little thing about, hey, leave me a review. It does help me grow my business. It helps other people find me. It really does. But at the end of the day, I am so thankful when a client wants to work with me, because they could choose anybody else to work with. And so for them to have had a good experience and to be able to share that, it only continues to grow what I'm doing over here, which is I want to help more people in that same boat. It's not a financial gain for me. It's more so that mindset of I just want to help people. And that's what we do every day. It doesn't seem like we do a whole lot as realtors, but we really do. And it's a huge emotional piece.
All right. That's really key. And this is, honestly, this is how you got yourself 100% back into this best quarter, right? A lot of real estate is delayed gratification, especially in the first time homebuyer space. But if you can organically build it and you can hold on to this one success story, and that success story keeps referring you business and referring your business and referring you business, then a lot of the prospecting work is taken out of it, right? there's a lot of things you can't prospect at 10 o'clock at night when your daughter's sleeping. Right. You can't prospect. I mean, you can, but
You could, but no.
some people might get mad if, their husband or wife is getting a text message at 10:30 at night. Hey, want to buy a house?
You interested?
Not that that's how we prospect, but the use of social media, the time delay, the ability to post, the ability to send a message at, maybe won't be a notification on someone's phone. It just seems a little more acceptable to send a message, a DM at 10 o'clock at night versus a text message, in my opinion. Maybe that's just me, but
I agree.
How you've kind of built that is key. And, talk a little bit about this time management piece, right? Because you have your daughter at home during the day. You're doing real estate tasks around that however you can, unless she raises her hand and needs something, which I have a 2-year-old too, so I know how that rolls. I'm the working out of the house guy kind of. But from your perspective, how do you do that? Because here's the deal. It's not like, here's the daughter, hubby, like I'm out, right? Because the family time is 1A. Right. All together is kind of your passion. I know this because I watch it on your stories, because I've talked to you about it. And so when does real estate happen?
Every day is very different. Every day. I have a Google Calendar that has certain things plugged in that are routine. But if my kid's having a really bad day, a lot of that's just not going to get done. It's not. And meetings, things that are, routine, sometimes I just have to put on that back burner and pay attention to my kiddo when it's really rough. Now, granted, I'm kind of creeping out of that. She's a little more independent, a little bit more verbal to communicate to me what she needs. But before, some days were just like disastrous. I'm like, I can't get anything done. So yeah, the business hours change every day. And I'm very open and honest about that with other agents, with clients. My clients get my schedule weekly from me regarding what it's going to look like up front. So they know when I'm available and when I'm not. I just like to be very transparent about that with them. And it's been so successful for me to just be honest and say, hey, like I'm busy till 4 today, guys. Like we're going to have to reschedule, or I'm going to have to, move your showing to tonight. And it's been very flexible. And I think when you approach it from a flexible aspect in your business, it's more doable than changing it up last minute or not being reliable. So that's something that I've always been really careful with, is I don't want to portray or miscommunicate or make promises I couldn't keep. So I'm very honest. Hey, I got a daughter. If I can't answer the phone, I'm probably with my daughter. If we're on the phone and we're in a Zoom meeting, my daughter's probably in the background climbing on me like a monkey. Like, you just kind of have to adapt. And that's really been my struggle in the very beginning, was just trying to figure out what that looks like for me. But yeah, my husband doesn't get home from work till about 4. He's gone by the time we get up, and he's home at 4. So really that whole time frame throughout the day, when it's normal working hours and communication hours for people, happens with my daughter. And if I can't get help, that is what it is. We just kind of have to make it work. So a lot of my busy work, kind of like this, like doing podcasting or, doing mentee sponsee trainings, happens at night when my husband's home and I have full focus. Or other days it's, hey mom, I need help. I'm going to be on a podcast with Jeremy, so I need you to watch my daughter today so she's not screaming in the background. So yeah, it is really about having a support system as well. And I know not everybody has that. So I'm very blessed to have that. I don't want to make that seem like it's a thing that everyone has, because they don't, but it's definitely, it's a work in progress all the time.
And I think the biggest difference in your kind of acceleration here is you gave yourself permission, when at first you didn't really know if you could do that. Be a mom first and to try and do it all. And you're a achiever. So you want to do everything. You want to keep everybody happy. But I think that's the major shift where I really saw things change from my perspective, is like, I'm giving myself permission to be the mom, to show up for my family how we need to show up in this season. And so I think that's key.
Saying no, I think, was a big, so I asked this question at EXPCon in Louis Galt's. It was one of their smaller sessions. And, I kind of just said, how do you guys say no to things that are really awesome? Because I am a person I'm a yes person. I'm a people pleaser through and through. I know that about myself. And it's really hard for me to say no, especially when opportunities present themselves, that I'm like, how can I say no to that? But then I'm like, I don't have time to do all these things. Like sometimes you do have to walk away and allow yourself grace and time for yourself and not overrun your schedule, because I'm a big person that would do that. And so EXPCon really made a big change for me to be able to say, no, you know what? I don't want to help this client because they don't understand that I'm a mom and they can't relate to me. So we're not a good fit. I've said no to clients more this year than ever in my business because we're not a fit. And it's cool to be at that part of my business to be able to really care about me and care about my family first.
Awesome. That's great. So let's transition this a little bit to the agent to agent referral side, and talk a little bit about your success since coming over to EXP, getting referrals, from other agents, and kind of how you kind of stumbled upon that. And now it's grown into, something we'll talk about right after this.
So when I came to EXP, I was like, you know what? This is a crazy time in my life, but if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. Like I've heard so many great things about EXP and their organizations and programs and the trainings they offer. There is stuff I still have not touched with this brokerage that I still need to do. And I don't know when I'll get to do them. So we have like an abundance of things that I would love to be involved in. And it's that, immerse yourself into the EXP experience that's really important for your success. And it allows you to kind of break out into something that's a little bit different than the everyday, just working with clients. It allows you to meet more people. It allows you to be engaged and grow with the company. So the big thing for me with these agent to agent referrals, it's been phenomenal for my business. I would say a lot of my business comes from agent referral, which means a lot to me that they trust me enough to take care of their client. But it's because I built the relationship through the company. So putting yourself out there with EXP has been huge. I've been a part of the One EXP network now for over a year, and I love being a part of One EXP. We're building an organization within One EXP soon, so I'm very excited. But being a part of the EXP Certified Mentor Program, being in the Wolfpack, obviously has been such a major game change to my life. But just being even vocal in my state and being more open to helping and just meeting people here has given me such an opportunity that I wouldn't have had if I wasn't putting myself out there and being vulnerable.
Yeah. And that's something with EXP that I didn't really consider, right? I'm joining at the time I joined, it was a 70,000 person brokerage with agents all over the country, all over the world. And you're hyper local, right? Littleton, Colorado, Harrisburg, PA, agent. And there's going to come times where, there's different models and systems we have, starts with workplace. And you're like, oh, I just got a referral from my area that I wouldn't have had if I wasn't a part of this company, if I didn't get the notification that, there's something in the Denver, Colorado area or whatever. And then it goes further, right? And then you're like, okay, what other things can I kind of get involved in? Is it the Referrals program? Is it this? Is it that? Is it, being on the big agent meeting? Is it, the chief learning officer, Brian Ellington's, fast cap? Is it, where is that, where do I find my way? And the truth is there is so many, but every little piece, every time you take a step forward, you're rubbing shoulders with executives, you're rubbing shoulders with people that are, heads of different organizations. And next thing you know, you're in these organizations and all the things. And so that's a really cool way to kind of see it and see the EXP model. But let's tell them a little bit about where you're going with this. And, this is the next step, I guess. You create an organization.
When you run out of things to join, you create your own.
Right. When you run out of networking opportunities within a 90,000 person brokerage, you create one. So tell us a little bit about EXP Nest. I'm super excited about this.
Yeah. So I'm a firm believer that you put yourself in the right rooms and you're going to meet the right people. And that's what I've done since coming to EXP, which some of these rooms I haven't even tried to be in. I just fell into them. So I'm blessed to have had my name put out here so much in EXP already. But yeah, I recently joined with the Agent Advisory Council in Pennsylvania, Certified Mentor. I've been part of other organizations, but now creating my own with EXP Nest, I'm so excited. And I love talking about it because it is very deep to my heart. Obviously being a mom, trying to navigate this business and work-life balance, there are people that have never figured it out and they've left the industry. And it's really sad to see, because if they just had a little bit more support, or if they had someone to relate to, maybe they would have stuck it out and stayed in the industry and become really successful. And I call myself successful because I feel like I'm there, it's different definition of success for everybody, but I found success in the hardest parts of my life. And so EXP Nest is here to be that support system. We have resources. We're building a whole group. We have weekly calls that, we are one-on-one, or, we'll be in a big group setting with agents who need support and who just want to find like-minded people to vent to be there with. So really loving our weekly calls, but then even to like getting ready to start in-person events, and just being that system that I wish I would have had is really important. So the fact that we're going to become a One EXP organization is so insane, because we've been dreaming about this since we decided to make this group. That was back in November. And we've been working on it since. So it's in the growing process, but it's about to be something really big in a network that we don't have in our industry.
Mm-hmm. Really cool, right? Because you think of a lot of different areas where people need organizational support and all the things. Parenting is not one that typically is like, oh, that's a subset of people that needs support, especially in the real estate industry. So I'm really excited to kind of see that. But that's what it is. That's getting involved. That's giver's gain. That's, kind of taking something that you're like, okay, you were on Workplace, you connected with a few people, you came to EXPCon, connected with more, joined some of the organizations, did the things, and now you're creating one. So that's really cool.
That's wild.
That's kind of part of it, but also something that's more of a passion project, right? This is something that in the industry, sometimes people, get burnt out and they're like that. But when they have passion projects that are kind of tied to it and connecting with other agents and stuff, I only see, success coming from that, and a, spot on idea as you go. So super excited about that. So I tell agents all the time, right, to kind of document their journey, do the thing. Like if you're a new agent, document the journey. If you're in school, document your journey so that when you get here, that you'll have something to look back on or share with your audience or whatever it is. And so that's where it's at. And that's kind of how you've built your business, right? Yeah. As a homeowner, you kind of documented that journey, those emotions. And then now you have the kiddo and you're building this EXP Nest. So tell us a little bit about how you utilize, Facebook to kind of document that entire journey. And then we'll talk about where people can connect with you to see it and go from there.
Yeah. So I put everything online, probably more than people want to know about me. Everything goes online, but yeah, I've shared my whole journey, and this has been my whole life. It wasn't even just real estate, but like when I was in college, I was very vocal about what I was doing and was constantly sharing like the ups, the downs. Life is very up and down all the time. I don't always share happy news or happy things in our life. So yeah, it's been a journey being a homeowner and figuring out the ins and outs of my own home, sharing that online about our 70s fixer-upper, and yeah, then having our daughter and sharing that online and being relational to people has been so beneficial. Thank you for telling me to make sure that I do that, because that was something I was like, should I share the parenthood journey? Yes, you should, because everybody does relate to you. But yeah, oversharing. I put everything of my life online, and then it's so great to look back at and say, okay, today I didn't feel like I've come very far, but when I look back on it, it's like, wow, I actually have been doing a lot in my business and doing a lot in my personal life that I didn't notice, because sometimes we just get so busy with the mundane everyday like things that it's really cool to look back and see how far you've come. So for me, if you look me up on social media, you know everything about me, everything. And that's what's really cool about that platform, is I can also get to meet people very similar to me and share that experience. So yeah, you can find me anywhere on Facebook under my name, or on Instagram at The Retro Realtor, and our new podcast that's coming. You can find that too. So there's a lot of things we're sharing.
Podcast.
I should start a podcast. Yes, I am. Finally, I've been saying this for like a year, guys. I've been like, oh, I got to start a podcast. No, it's actually happening. It's launching in April. So very excited.
Right. Yeah. And I'm going to close with this because this analogy keeps coming back to me. The jar with the rocks in it, right? Is there anything else that could fit in this jar? The answer is no, right? Until you get pea gravel and you fill that in, right? And it kind of works its way into space. And then you say, can anything else fit? No. Then you go get, sand. And then it fills in a little more. And then you get the finer sand. And all of a sudden, 4 times you've said, no, nothing will fit in this jar. It will, but it's just with extreme, patience and time for it to fill in. And I think that's a true testament and analogy to your exact situation and parenthood in general. Right. So, if you could give one piece of advice to the, agent who's a parent who feels like maybe this wasn't the best idea, maybe this career isn't for me, maybe has another outside thing coming in like a husband's job change, what's one piece of advice you would give those people that are struggling in that moment?
Give yourself a lot of grace and a lot of patience to slowly figure it out. I think a big thing for me, so I'm 27 now, I got the industry at 23. And I told myself by the age of 30, if I'm not successful at this, like I'll find something else. And that was back, 4 years ago when I said that. And my definition of success has changed so much since then, because I didn't know what success meant at 30. But I know for sure if I would have given up on myself when the hardest days came, I would not be here and I'd probably be back in healthcare, miserable. So even the hardest days in this journey are better than the other results. It's truly that like grass isn't greener on the other side mentality. We just had this conversation at EXP Nest Call the other day. We said, do you guys have a plan B if this doesn't work out for you? And everybody kind of just looked at us like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, we're having this conversation because you don't want a plan B, right? Like you don't want a plan B when you're here and you're in this business and it's such an awesome business to be a part of, but you get the flexibility of your family and the, just the perks of being here and working with clients. You don't want a plan B. So you have to hustle, like you have to make it work. And that's the whole point of my life is just, I want to give myself the grace and patience to understand this is just a season that I'm going through that's really hard. And if I don't keep pushing through it, it could be a lot worse, right? Like it could be a lot worse. So definitely give that grace to yourself, give yourself some time to yourself outside of your business, outside of your family. You need self-care time to be able to reset. I'm not talking about going to bed and resetting, like take time away and do things for you that bring that joy or your passion projects. Find your niche, find what makes you excited, because it is hard. You're never not going to have a hard time doing both. So you just kind of have to give yourself that time.
Give yourself permission. Right.
Always. Say no.
Perfect.
You're allowed to say no.
All right. Perfect. So thank you so much for joining us. I will link all of Maddison's information below. Look out for other Wolfpack Way features featuring agents across the country and soon to be world, about all the wonderful things. Reach out to Maddison. She is an open book. She's willing to help. She's willing to mentor. She's willing to sponsor you if you want to join her organization. Absolute amazing human. So thank you so much, Maddison, for your time. And like, comment, subscribe, share the podcast with your favorite real estate agent. And we'll see you guys next time.